Hello friends and welcome back. I'm Burke with Shared Science in Long Beach, California, where creative kids dive into STEM fun. This is lesson 7 of Python Bytes, where you'll learn the awesome powers of libraries. You should have completed lessons 0 through 6 before you continue. Still with me? Great. The answer to lesson 6's homework challenge is in the comments of this video. If you haven't already, open Replit in your browser and open a new REPL. By the end of lesson 6, you had written your first function. You can see how functions can save you a great deal of coding time and trouble, right? Did you know that there are already tens of thousands of Python functions already written, and you can use them for free? Okay, let's back up a little. Collections of functions are called libraries. You already know that Python has built-in functions like print and input. It also comes with hundreds of libraries full of useful functions. Unlike the built-in functions, libraries aren't written into the core of Python. To use one of the libraries, you have to import it into your program. So let's give it a shot. In your new REPL, type in import, I-M-P-O-R-T, space, random. I'll bet you can guess what this is about. If your program needed to generate a random number, how would you do it? It seems easy, but it's really pretty difficult to make a truly random number. It's a problem even mathematicians struggle with. Lucky for us, there's a library for that. Press return a few times, then type x equals random dot randint, and then in parentheses, 1, 20. And one more. Type print on a new line, open quotes, spin the wheel, and then after the quotes, type in X, and you're good. Let's run it. Spin the wheel, random number 17. Run it again. 17. One more time, 8. It truly is random, and you can get 2 numbers in a row. So the first line here imports the random library so that your program will be able to see the functions inside of it. We want the randint function within random, and that generates an integer between the 2 numbers that we give it, including those numbers. Now, we write random dot before randint to tell Python where to find the function. That's a little clunky looking, right? If you want to use a function without having to specify its library name, well, first, let's take off the library name and type in from random import randint. Now try it. 13. You can also just put a star here to say that you want to input everything that's inside the random library. For small programs, it can't hurt. So that's how you use a library, but how do you find libraries? Well, the official Python documentation has a list of all the standard libraries, the ones that are distributed with Python. You can find them in a couple of places. I'll post the links below the video. The Python wiki has a somewhat helpful list with links for more information. Honestly, though, it's not very useful. The best way to find libraries is to search for what you want to do. Here's a Google search for Python library for making games. If you want to write games, and you do, right? Search for Python library for making games, and your first hit will be Pygame. It's a very widely used library for building games. If that sounds familiar, it may be because Pygame is one of the options when you open a new REPL. We're going to cover Pygame in another lesson. But feel free to create a REPL with Pygame and browse the examples. Okay, who remembers how to make a list in Python? We covered it in lesson 4. And who remembers how to print an item from a list? If your memory is as bad as mine, you may need to brush up on your lists before you tackle your homework. That's it for lesson 7. You have imported your first library and learned how to use the randint function. For homework, write a Python program that builds a list then prints a random item from the list, all using a function you write. You'll need to import a library and write a function. I'll post a solution in the comments of the next lesson. Next time, we'll cover classes and objects, which are a lot more interesting than they sound. Thanks for hanging with Shared Science. Tune in again for more creative engineering fun. Of course, you know, this means war.